Okay, welcome to week 6 learning and action session. Can you believe it? You are in the last piece of your content that is going to help you get the job of your dreams. This is amazing. You've made it. Are you able to see how far you've come? Are you feeling the progress that you've made? Even if you are a little bit caught up, even if you haven't quite made it through all the content that you were hoping you'd make it through, you have made a ton of progress. You've invested your time in watching the videos to get here, which means that you have been able to digest and learn and grow as a professional and as a person. And I want you to be proud of yourself. I know how hard it is to feel pride and to say that you are proud of yourself. We are conditioned to reject compliments, even if they're internal, maybe even more so if they're internal. It's so difficult for so many people to celebrate and to acknowledge all that they have done in the world, even in maybe especially in the short term, that we never acknowledge it, we never celebrate it. And that's where the gratitude and the brag book really comes in handy with maintaining your mindset. And so I want to remind you that that's there to support you, to keep you on the right track as you wrap up this course and as you keep pushing towards your goals. Now, just quickly to remember from last week, week 5, the homework was all about interview prep. Now, if you haven't scheduled your one-on-one with me, reach out, let me know what might work for your schedule. Don't worry if you're feeling like you need a little bit more time or if you're not quite there yet, we can figure that out. Just make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity to practice interviewing before it's like, oh my God, I have an interview tomorrow. Because I know how quickly sometimes things can happen once you're really putting the gas to the floor. And I know that you are somebody who's motivated to succeed and to achieve. And I want you to make the most of every opportunity that you have. Now, one quick thing I want to talk about interviewing from last week is what questions should you be asking the interviewer? Now, the bolded and underlined questions here are key, should be in your back pocket, ask in almost every interview situation. Right here. What does success look like in this role? What are the next steps moving forward? And is there anything else I can tell you to help you make your decision about employing me? Now, you can take that particular question up a notch and ask if there's anything holding them back from hiring you. So, is there anything holding you back about what I've told you right now from offering me this opportunity? Now, that might be one step further in the confidence level than you are at right now. And I never, never, never want you asking something or saying something in an interview that you don't feel really good about. So make sure that all the prep you're doing, you feel comfortable and confident. There's so many things you can ask about that aren't sort of pushing the buttons of the interviewer. And if you don't feel ready to do that, skip right over it. For example, ask about the hierarchy of the role and of the company. Where does this position sit inside the company? Who does it report to? Who reports to that position? How long was the person in the job before you in that role? That can give you a lot of insight into that company and that position and maybe their expectations. What does the interviewer see as a long-term potential for the role? We should all be pursuing growth and opportunity, right? That's what they're going to ask you. Why do you want a new role? For growth. You want to ask them what they view as the growth of this position is. If it happens to be a sales role, you can ask about what the specific goals are, and that will be related to compensation normally. So be cautious if you're opening that gate. But are there quarterly goals, annual goals, quotas, etc.? And generally speaking, you can always just follow up about the information in the interview. You can say something like, oh, hey, you mentioned so and so before, you mentioned this piece of the company before. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? There's a lot of things, and it all comes back to what we talked about in networking. What is it that you are going to be able to do to achieve this role? And how can you create a real relationship with this person? It's all relationship building. It's all about showing them you are more than just the piece of paper in front of them, that you're an interesting person. You can even ask them, if you feel like you have a relationship, just about them and what they enjoy at the company and how long they've been with the company. It's so important to be able to have that available, and that relationship. That's what makes you stand out. People always say, how do I stand out in an interview? Think about any time in your life when you've met somebody, or you've remembered someone, or you've even made a new friend. People that stand out to us are people that are more than just there for the cause, right? They have interesting stories. They're able to share those stories with you in a way that seems natural. So you can turn that around to them as well and ask them what they like about the company, or what their experience has been. What hours do you normally work? These are gentle ways of understanding things about the company without outright saying, hey, do you stay here till 8 o'clock at night? Are you leaving at a normal time? So we can dive into more of that in your one-on-one. Go back and take a look at the interview module if you're still feeling uncomfortable. That's available to you to review anytime you want. So yeah, get excited. Interviewing is an opportunity to shine. It's an opportunity to finally get up and prove how awesome you are. It's not an opportunity to get shot down or to be afraid. It's a chance for you to shine and show the world how amazing you are. Show this new company that you are the best possible fit for them. So let's move on to the main topic for today, which is negotiation. I think in songs sometimes. I'm not going to sing to you because I do not have a good voice, but maybe you're also hearing the song here, Money, Money, Money. But negotiation is at the end of the day why you're all here. None of you are excited, oh my God, I get to work for free. You want to get a job that pays you what you deserve to be paid. And just like interviewing, you have goals in negotiation, and the company has goals in negotiation. Your goal is to identify and ask for the maximum compensation package available to you. It's really simple. It's not emotional. And that's the key to all this, keeping things very, very level-headed. Now, their goal, your future employer's goal, is to receive the questions that you have about the compensation, review any requests, and they want to offer you the lowest possible offer they believe you will accept. Let's be real, right? You're trying to get the best possible offer, and they're trying to save the most money. But that's okay, because it's not that they are against you, and it's not that they are looking to harm you. It's just that everyone has their priorities and their goals. But the good news is, if you are at the point of being offered an opportunity, you have power. You know they want you. They've given you an initial offer, and you need to decide if this offer is acceptable with all of the information that you have available. Now, I know asking for money is super uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable for people. We don't like to do it. It makes us uneasy, and it's not something we do every day. And standing up for ourselves is not something we do every day. But the good news is that negotiation is about far more than money. Realistically, all negotiation is, all that getting an offer signed is coming to the terms of your employment with this new company. It's super simple. It's just the terms by which you show up every day, and they cut you a check every couple of weeks. They provide you with health insurance. They provide you with any other benefits. And the sooner that you can digest that, that you can really accept that that is what negotiation is, then it will be so much easier for you. It will take out the emotions. It will take out all that frankly holds back women from making as much money as they should be making. And that is a very unfortunate but very real thing. Men are far more comfortable at negotiating. They're far more comfortable at basically stating why they're awesome and why they deserve to be compensated well. And so you need to put yourself in the mindset of, I come to the table with X, Y, and Z, and that makes me amazing for your company. Now, it's really easy. The first thing you're going to do when you are given an offer or offered an offer, which is very much, it's very likely going to be on the phone. Certain industries are more formal, and you'll probably know if you're in that kind of industry. But a lot of the time, they'll call you up and say, "Hey, we really liked you. We want to offer you the position. We're going to give you $65,000, or we're going to give you $50,000." No matter what number they give you, truly, if they called you and said, "I want to offer you a $1 million, I need you to take a deep breath in your head, do a happy dance, and say, 'Thank you so much for this offer. I really look forward to reviewing it further. When can I expect to see it in writing?'" Here's the thing. An offer on the phone is lovely, and it's very nice, and it's very exciting to receive. But nothing in life is real until it's on paper. And I know that that's harsh and maybe a little bit hyper practical, but in this case, it's true. I've seen so many people who have been offered opportunities, offered salaries, and then they start to ask for it in writing, and it just never exists. And then the jobs fall through. You need to see it in writing, not because we don't trust them. That's a super negative perspective. You need to see it in writing because you need to see all the pieces of the package. We're so comfortable seeing the dollar amount we get every month that we forget about all the other benefits. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Because I know right now you're thinking, "Oh my God, are they going to withdraw the offer? Are they going to tell me that they can't send it in writing? Are they going to tell me I need an answer right away?" It is 99.9% of the time not going to happen. They're not going to take back an offer because you asked for it in writing. At this point, that's all you're doing. "Hey, would you mind jotting that down in an email to me?" You can make it casual if you feel afraid, but don't let fear guide this process. Let excitement and confidence guide this process. And so, simply put, thank you so much for this offer. I really look forward to reviewing it shortly. I want to see it in writing. And they should be more than happy to give that to you. I've never heard of anyone being declined that offer. It's being declined an offer, nor being declined to send it in writing. That's just normal business practice. And so once you have that package, let's talk about what should be in there. So in a compensation package, you can have any combination of what we're about to talk about in the next two slides. Of course, you're going to have a salary. You might have bonus opportunity or commission. You're going to have paid time off, PTO, which could include vacation, sick days, flex days, holidays, include insurance, health, vision, dental. It includes retirement, potentially, 401k with or without a match. It can include technology, like paying for your cell phone, a computer, an iPad, any subsidies for wellness type programs or education or professional development. It might include commuter benefits, housing and moving costs, depending on where you're going. It might outline if you're going to travel for work or not travel, which is something that you want to ask about in the interview as well, if it's something that may be in the cards for your position. Now, to go back to the previous slide, I want you to know before you are in any interview situation, what package you have right now. What is your compensation package? And you may actually uncover that you have benefits you didn't even know about during this process. Now, we talked about at the beginning, knowing your finances. This is really going to iron it all in. So what is your salary? Do you get a bonus? Is it on a certain schedule? Is it a percent? Is it variable? Is it just totally up to your bosses or your supervisors? Do you get commission? Where do you get commission from? And how much does that all add up to? So that total number is your compensation right now, your salary-based compensation. You need to decide if you're making a job change, what numbers you're willing to be flexible within. How do you survive or not survive? And you need to understand what you're willing to take in the next role and kind of have a middle of the range, a bottom, and a top of where you're hoping. And of course, the top, throw in the trash if they give you more money. But if they're coming in towards the lower end, you need to know what that bottom line is before someone is offering you a check. Paid time off is also a good thing to understand. Do you have vacation time, sick time? Is it kind of merged into one? Do you have any flex time? Which holidays do you get off? Are you part of a religion that may need specific days that are not traditionally offered by American companies? A lot of Jewish holidays, Muslim holidays, I'm sure there's religions that I'm not covering there that may need certain days, or maybe you're more religious in a Christian religion that dates wouldn't be given off traditionally. Consider all of that now. Do you have health insurance? Do you cover a partner on that health insurance? What's the cost of the health insurance to you? That's going to be just on your paycheck. How much are you paying into health insurance every month? What is the quality of the health insurance? Do you see specific doctors or dentists or vision experts, ophthalmologists, optometrists that only take a limited number of insurance plans? You need to understand all of that before you go and take on a new insurance plan. And what your options are. If you have a partner that could potentially put you on their plan, what is the cost to doing that? Now, retirement is another one that we are so quick to overlook, but if you're being offered a 401k, does it have a match or does it not have a match? And if you don't know what that is, a 401k is an investment account for your retirement. Barring certain situations, should not expect to remove that money until you are retired. But more and more companies are offering matches to what you put into that program. And so if you decide to put in 2 or 3 or 4% of your salary, many companies will actually match that amount, also give you up to a certain percent of your salary for contributing to your future. You can think of that money as part of your salary as well, because it is. And it's all going to be pre-tax, which is nice as well. Then thinking about all the sort of extra benefits, your technology, is your cell phone covered? That could easily turn into an extra $100 a month if your phone's covered now and may not be covered, or it could be $100 cost savings. Is your gym covered? Are you going to lose your gym membership if you leave your position? How can you start to adjust for that? Are you interested in going back to school? And can this new position offer you education support, or maybe even pay for education and professional development for more certifications? Commuter benefits are something that are very underlooked. Commuter benefits would be if they have the ability for you to pay for gas or pay for some sort of metro, train, bus pre-tax. So the money is withdrawn, and that's a big cost savings. If you're relocating, are they going to pay for the move? Are they going to pay for your housing? Certain jobs, once you get to a certain level, do have that opportunity. And I'm sure right now you're like, oh my God, I was just hoping for X salary. Well, this is why we figure it out now. We figure out what it is you have right now, so that once you get the new package, you don't forget to ask about certain things, and it enables us to negotiate more easily. So the first thing, once you receive your offer, that you're going to say to yourself is, does this work for you? Did you previously let them know about your financial desires? So was there a point in the interview where you actually told them what you were looking for? And does this offer match that? Where does it line up in relationship with what you previously discussed? Is it below what you expected? Is it above what you expected? What's missing from those 2 slides we just went through that you have but you won't have in the future? Are any of your deal breakers showing up, and do you feel that they are flexible in that? And PS, the only way to know if they're flexible is to ask. So you should do this really, you should do your research. Really now, you should be knowing kind of what range you're expecting to be in, what range you're hoping that you might be in terms of salary, in terms of general compensation. And the best places to do that I've summarized here. So Glassdoor.com is fantastic. We went through that in a previous week. Know Your Worth is a interesting Glassdoor page, and they try to approximate what your salary should or could be. I've actually noticed they can be slightly high, I think, for most places. So tread cautiously there. I definitely wouldn't tell anyone, oh, Glassdoor says, but you do want to get an idea of, with your honest background, with your honest experience, where the internet thinks you should be approximately. And then payscale.com is another good one to get an idea of where positions are being in the compensation scale and to see what you might be looking at for your next job. Now, when you have that comp on paper in an email, you will review it for all of what we just spoke about, and then you're going to ask them, ideally in a phone call, or you can email them and just say, "Hey, I'd like to find a time for us to discuss the offer. I've had a chance to review it." If there's any questions you have, you can email those. So if you haven't been given any information about health insurance, you can say, "Hey, I noticed that that's missing. Can you possibly supply me information about the cost of the health insurance to the employee and which plans you have?" And you want to get all of that in really a single email. Don't be going back and forth. Make sure you're showing them that you are taking the time to understand what it is that is in this package and to fill in the gaps that are truly there. But get all the information together and then ask to discuss it. It is very, very, very unlikely that on that call, if you do have to call them to ask to talk about it, that they're going to want to do it right then and there. They're probably going to schedule a time for the future. But you should always be prepared when you have that at that point with a kind of simple answer to a question. Do you want, and I say or need, this job? At the end of the day, I believe that you should be very, very clear as to whether this is a job you feel you're going to take before any negotiating occurs. Now, if you are very far off, and that's only something you can determine when I'm saying very far off, that's really within you. If you're very far off from where you want to be financially, you can also say there's a number in your mind that you need to hit in order to get there. So you need to know if you want or need this job with or without a specific number in mind before you're on the phone call. And that can be um, and that can be something that is very finely outlined, but I want you to approach this knowing whether you're fighting for something you want or if you're wasting your time and you don't really know if this is a position that you want. You're just sort of practicing. And that's very important because it can quickly get emotional, right? Once you start asking for your needs and wants, we start to get very, very invested and very emotional. And if you know what you want the outcome to be, that also is very much kind of going to align your conversation, and it's going to help you remember that this is a conversation and not an argument, which sometimes it's very easy to fall into that habit. So have as much information available to you before you're in a conversation. Do all the research. When they first give you that offer, you can ask them if there's a timeline for when they want you to give them an answer, and then make sure you respect that. Let them know you're going to take a look at it. You'll get back to them in a day or 2 days. This is your priority once you have an offer. Make sure you remember that. And then once you're on that phone call, or if they happen to want to do it in person, which I think is pretty rare, first and foremost, always express gratitude and acknowledge that you have done the work to be in this conversation. And then once you're in it, the conversation is basically based upon how awesome you are, based upon the job, your research, and all the conversations you've had with this new potential employer. You are expecting something different. That's it. You're expecting something different. And I'll give you some exact language you can use, so don't worry about that. But keep in mind, that's all the conversation you're having is. You have learned a lot about the job, about the company, about the industry. You've done your research. You understand what is typically offered and available to new employees. You know exactly how amazing you are and all that you are going to bring to the table for this new company. And you were hoping to see something different. So make sure, just like in the interview, you want to stay very, very positive, very upbeat. Don't get drawn in if they're being nitpicky or if you feel like they're getting emotional. You are working with this person to find a solution to the problem. And the problem is They want to hire you, you want to work there, but you need a little bit more than what they're offering you. And so you might see something like, I'm really excited about the position, and I know I would be able to contribute significantly. And there you can be specific. I'm really excited about this position, especially now that I know that my background in education, in addition to marketing, will be beneficial to you and your company. Based upon the years I have of experience and the conversations that we've had, I was expecting to see a salary of 65,000. Can we look at a salary of 65,000 for this position? And they're going to say, "Oh, well," and start to get kind of vague. And the idea is to stay focused, to not change the story, to just be on target with what you're asking for. And so they may be offering you 55,000 in this story. So they're going to give you the song and dance about how they have the budget and this is what they're expecting. And you then kind of have an option as to how to move forward. So one of the best ways is to point out what's missing. I can appreciate that you have a budget for your salary and you can offer alternatives. I can appreciate that you're limited in salary. I would be comfortable at 55,000 if we can add a week of vacation. Or given the lack of 401k matching, which I have at my current employer and you aren't offering, I can I can be happy, I can be comfortable at a salary of 60,000. Or you might say something like, can we meet in the middle and are you able to offer me 60? So if they're coming in at 55, you're looking for 65. Can we meet in the middle? You'll see a lot that that language is um, maybe a little bit questionable by certain negotiation practices. So, like business negotiation, they talk about not wanting to meet in the middle. But in this becomes kind of a one-on-one. And just to quickly point out here, while it is a one-on-one of individual to individual in the conversation, please understand that while $10,000 is significant for you, $10,000 for a company is far less significant. I also want you to understand that the $10,000 in this example is all pre-tax. And the reason I say that is because you're going to immediately lose a pretty good chunk of that to taxes. And so I want you to always consider the impact of change in a salary package is going to have on you before you end up making a decision that's harmful. Now, I believe deeply you should negotiate for exactly what you deserve, and you should be strong and powerful and very specific and not emotional. But that's why we decide if we want the job in the beginning and if there are any cutoff points. So let's say in this example, they presented you with an offer that was $55,000, 2 weeks paid vacation, and all the other like normal benefits, 401k with a 5% match, um, nor- normal sick time, etc. So there, all we're talking about here is an opportunity where you're missing $10,000. Before you go into that negotiation conversation, before they even give you an offer, you're going to want to know in your mind, I'm not going to take this job unless I get 60. Or maybe you see 55, you look at your finances and you say, you know what, for the right long term opportunity, I'm willing to take that. And only you can know that information inside of you. And don't let it be guided by fear. Make sure it's guided by facts. So once you have this conversation and you've come to some sort of agreement, it's likely that you'll have something change, whether it's the vacation time, whether it's benefits. So if you have terrible benefits at this company, for example, you might say to them, oh, well, I'm going to decline your health insurance because I can get better health insurance through my partner. I would like to then ask for a salary that is $10,000 more. And that saves them a lot of money by you declining the health insurance. You just want to understand what it is that you need out of this package and what you can maximize using in this package. So most likely at the end of the conversation, it's going to be left a little bit vague. It's very unlikely in that conversation um, that they're going to commit to something, especially if the conversation is happening on the phone. They may ask you for a bottom line, or they may tell you their bottom line, final offer, or they give you an counter offer to consider. And you you can judge by the conversations that you've had whether you feel you can counter or negotiate on that second offer. That's going to be an in the moment kind of thing. But generally speaking, companies don't want to go back and forth and back and forth. And so that second offer is probably going to be a little bit closer than what you talked about. They may have pulled something that's feeling like a little bit obnoxious to you, and you guys agree on the phone, well, I'm happy to take this position for 60,000, and then they come back and they say our final offer is 59,000, and you're sitting there saying, really, what is that $1,000 change in your life other than making me feel like you are powerful? But it happens all the time. So at that point, it's time to make a decision. Now, if you really, really want this job and you feel like it's not where you want the comp to be, and here I say you're far from what you expected or hoped, you really have to judge what that means. Sometimes, again, it can feel like a few $1,000s is very far off, but after taxes, it is not as much as you thought. Or you can see it from the opposite side. Taking a step back financially can potentially limit you in the future. But now that you're going to be amazing at negotiating, we don't have to worry about that quite as much, right? However, if you are still feeling uncomfortable and they're doing something that makes you just feel a little bit off on ends, you can say something to them like, I know that I'm going to bring all of the things that we discussed to the table, all of the projects we talked about, all of the work that I'm going to do for your company. I know you're going to be super impressed by me. It's just a fact. I know that. And so, because we aren't quite where I want to be in terms of salary, I was wondering if we could include a 6-month review of my progress and compensation package in this offer. This is something that's going to show such a high level of maturity. It's going to show that you're really dedicated to being there, and it's going to show them that you're invested in their company in a big way. And frankly, no one does stuff like this. Nobody comes and says, you know what, I'm with you. I want to be at your company, but I'm also going to stand up for myself in this little way and ask you to review because I know I'm so freaking awesome that you're going to be happy to do it. It just doesn't happen. And so if you can do that, if you can build up the confidence to have that conversation, you're aligning yourself for hopefully a raise in your first position when you get brought into the company and another one in a couple of months because you are awesome and you are going to stand up for that. Now, if you're not sure, then that's up to you to decide whether you're comfortable saying it, just like so many other things. This is all about confidence and keeping your head on straight and making sure you're saying things that are very genuine and believable. But that is an excellent way to bridge a gap. If you're kind of close, but not quite there, you can ask them to put trust in you, and you are putting your trust in them, and that can be a really strong beginning of a relationship. Now, eventually you have to hold someone to it, but that's once you're in the role. Now, you're probably a little nervous, maybe a little sweating happening because negotiating is really challenging. Really, at the end of the day, it's about knowing how amazing you are and communicating it. Again, just like all of this is, doing your research, knowing what you bring to the table, and effectively communicating all of that. And here's the thing. You are 100% in control of your future, and only you will know if this is the right opportunity. You do not ever have to take a job if you don't feel good about it, if you don't feel like it's the right timing. Timing is so important. I've had opportunities in my life where if they had come 6 months or a year earlier, it would be the absolute right thing for me to do. But when it does show up, it's not anymore. And that's okay. I've also had positions that I wasn't quite sure about. But in that moment, I knew it was the right thing to do. And so I took a leap, and some were good and some were less awesome. But in the end, as long as you're making a decision, you can always reflect back to that. The key is to not feel pushed into an opportunity. Now you're probably afraid, maybe even a little excited, hearing a lot of what about this? What about that? What if? Good news is we can chat about every what about and what if on the Q&A because it's gonna come up for you. Negotiating is one of the most mindset oriented pieces here. Interviewing and negotiating hand in hand are a big challenge to your emotional stability for better or worse. But I am here to support you, and I have taught you proven methods to get exactly what you want in your future job. Now, negotiation is just problem solving. Remind yourself of that. Stay true to the facts. That's why you do your research. You can know going into it, this is what the industry average is. This is what we talked about as you wanting an employee. This is why I'm even better than what you talked about in you wanting an employee, right? That's the key things. Pay attention in that interview so that you can start to pick out what makes you better than their other candidates. And one thing I need to remind you is that you are the one and the only person who is 100% on your side. If you don't stand up for yourself, no one ever will be an advocate like you can be for yourself. It can be challenging, it can be overwhelming, but you need to advocate for yourself because no one else is going to be 100% on your side. Now, all of this course, our first conversation when you decided that you were all in, it all started with a single question. Are you ready to decide? Are you ready to decide that you're going to get the salary you deserve? Are you ready to decide to keep moving forward on all of these lessons, to implement them as everyday things in your life? Are you ready to decide to be successful? And you've already told me the answer on our Q&As, in our live sessions in the Facebook group. You are ready and you are able, and you are even more able than you were 6 or 8 weeks ago by the time you get to this content because you have a proven method, a method that I've used, a method my clients use have to be successful. Now is the time to do the work and to accept that this is how you're going to get a new job, to put the work in and to make things happen. It's really up to you. And I know that you can do it. Now let's go through quickly a review of the things that have an end point. These are the things that I want you to get done and then put aside. Your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, even your introductory note for cold contacts, for reaching out to people. You can pretty much get those either 100 or 97% of the way there, just plugging in little bits of information when you need to, and leave them alone. Don't worry about going back to them right now. If you start to see that there's major um, things are not working out, that you think there's major changes to be made, by all means, reflect, come on the Q&A, let's talk about it together. But once you're satisfied that your information is on there, it's powerful, it's strong, it communicates to you, you look at it, and if you saw it and it was someone else, you would be able to give it the wow that you just can't give yourself, right? Leave those things alone. Don't let your resume or cover letter hold you back. Now, the things that will evolve as you move through the process is your story. How do you tell your story, your three-sentence story? That's going to change a little bit as you get more and more clear about what it is you're going after. And it's definitely going to change in time. Your experiences, even in informational interviews, are going to grow, and you're going to learn more about exactly what you're looking for. You're going to have different opportunities. You're going to get more comfortable and confident, and your goals are going to get more clear and specific. And that's absolutely amazing. And embrace those changes. Don't let them hold you back, but embrace it and learn and grow. Now, I want you to have really four key pieces in your daily workflow. And that assumes that the resume, LinkedIn, cover letter, those things are mostly done. In your daily workflow, I want you to consider four things. That's it. That's all you need to do every day once you get through the beginning of the course. I need you to be cold networking. I need you to be identifying posted opportunities. I need you to be applying for the posted opportunities, because even though we want to build you an army of cold people who are now a cold network, but are ultimately going to be people who know and love you and see how amazing you are, right now we need to play the game too. So I need you to identify posted opportunities, apply for those posted opportunities, and then warm network. And warm networking, just to remind you, is when you're going after the people who are in charge of those posted opportunities or people you already know. So if you see a position for program coordinator at NYU, you want to then go to LinkedIn and find out who the manager would be for that position. See if you can identify the hiring manager. Can you identify someone who works with that programming coordinator who could be a colleague? And then do you know anyone who works for NYU who might be able to give you a leg up, right? That's the warm networking. And you want to build this in. Now, if you're working a job now that the reason you're trying to get out is you just don't have time and this sounds super, super overwhelming to you, you can break it down into 2 days. Call it Mondays, cold day, Tuesdays, warm day, vice versa. But understand the sooner you can act on the posted opportunities, the further ahead of the line you're going to get naturally. And then that paired with the warm networking is what's going to land you the job. And it will be so much easier once you get into the flow of it. Oh, also, because I'm sure someone will ask, cold networking is also where you're connecting with recruiters. So that searching for marketing recruiter, um, sales recruiter, whatever it is that you're looking for, you're going to do that in your cold networking piece as well. So my last homework assignment to you is to continue to practice and review and make sure that you are bringing your questions to the Q&A. I'll be there for you 7:30 p.m. Thursday evenings. Drop me a line if you're going to join in the Facebook group. Make sure that you're continuing to network, to refine your marketing materials and not get complacent. And of course, schedule your one-on-one with me if you have not done that yet. That's available to help you reach your goals in addition to the Q&As. So my last quote for you of the program is by Anna Quinlan. And she says, when you leave college, there are thousands of people out there with the same degree you have. When you get a job, there will be thousands of people doing what you want to do for a living. But you are the only person alive who has sole custody of your life. And I love this quote because it is so true. There are so many people who want the job you want. There are so many people who have your education, who have your background. But guess what? You are going to do it differently. You are the only person with your exact experience, with your perspective, and your vision of your future. And don't let the competition, don't let seeing other people before an interview, interviewing for the same role, don't let it get in the way. You are special. You are absolutely amazing and a shining star. And if you can convince yourself of that, then you will get your career that you've been dreaming of. You will get there using these methods and knowing how amazing you are and communicating it. It will get you where you want to be. So thank you for joining me through this content. I'm so excited and I'm so proud of you for the progress that you've made. I can't wait to chat on a Q&A soon.